Is Kent Hughes about to make the most audacious move of his tenure by acquiring Elias Pettersson from a collapsing Vancouver Canucks organization and creating the most dominant center duo in the Eastern Conference? There are moments in a rebuild when you stop accumulating bricks and decide to buy the entire mansion. For the Montreal Canadiens, that moment might have arrived. After watching the Vancouver Canucks detonate their core by trading Captain Quinn Hughes to the Minnesota Wild, the market's attention turned to the other West Coast superstar, Elias Pettersson. This week, an audacious proposal outlined by Treege Wilson from the Hockey Writers and amplified by NHL Trade Talk set Quebec's discussion forums ablaze. The idea? GM Kent Hughes should capitalize on Vancouver's chaos to bring Petey home and solve, once and for all, the center depth problem that's plagued this organization. We're not talking about a veteran Band-Aid like Philip Danault or a young gamble like Dylan Cousins. We're talking about a generational talent capable of 100-point seasons, available only because his current organization decided to implode. But acquiring a star of that caliber comes with price, both in assets and in salary cap commitment. Let's paint the picture of what Montreal's lineup would look like with Pettersson in the fold. First line, Cole Caulfield at right wing, Nick Suzuki at center, Uri Slavkovsky at left wing. Second line, Patrick Lane at left wing, Elias Pettersson at center, Ivan Demidov at right wing. This isn't just a strong top six. This is heavy artillery. This is a kind of firepower that makes opposing coaches lose sleep. The analysis argues that Montreal desperately needs a legitimate second center. Suzuki has been carrying the piano alone for years. Young prospects like Oliver Kapanen impress, but ideally, he's a third-line center on a championship team. Pettersson would push Kapanen to the third line, where he'd dominate and create a matchup nightmare for every opponent. Who do you shut down? The Suzuki line or the Pettersson line? You can't shut down both. You probably can't shut down either. But here's the elephant in the room that can't be ignored. Elias Pettersson carries an $11.6 million contract for 7 more seasons. That's not a small commitment. That's a massive, long-term financial obligation to a player who hasn't been performing at the level his contract demands. The risk is real and significant. Pettersson isn't the player who signed that monstrous contract. He's had performance dips and confidence issues. He's struggled with injuries and inconsistency. Assuming that contract is essentially betting that the Montreal environment, combined with playing alongside Lane and Demidov, will reactivate his elite mode. It's betting that a change of scenery and a fresh start will remind him why he was considered a generational talent. That's a big bet, and it could easily go wrong. But here's the counter-argument. Kent Hughes doesn't shy away from risk. The article reminds us that while his moves haven't always worked perfectly, look at the Patrick Lane acquisition, Hughes isn't afraid to bet on proven stars. If he believes in the talent, he makes the call. And Pettersson's talent is undeniable. When he's healthy and confident, he's one of the most dangerous players in the league. The proposed trade package makes sense from Vancouver's perspective. The Canucks need future assets. They're rebuilding. The proposal includes Owen Beck, Montreal's best offensive-minded center prospect, Adam Engstrom, a promising defenseman from a position where Montreal has depth to spare, and a first-round draft pick. That's a legitimate return for a superstar, especially one carrying an expensive contract and a no-movement clause. But there's a red line that Hughes can't cross. The analysis is clear. The moment names like Michael Hage or Oliver Kapanen enter the discussion, the risk starts to outweigh the reward. Montreal can pay with depth, but they can't empty the elite prospect shelf. Hage is untouchable. Kapanen is untouchable. Demidov is untouchable. Those are the foundational pieces that can't be traded away. But Beck, Engstrom, and draft picks? Those are movable assets that don't compromise the future. The psychological factor is crucial and often overlooked. Pettersson has a no-movement clause. He chooses his destination. Montreal is the most difficult market in the world. The pressure is immense. Pettersson would need to embrace that pressure, the kind of pressure he hasn't always handled well in Vancouver. There's a real question about whether he has the mental toughness to thrive in Montreal. But there's also a compelling counter-narrative. Montreal is clearly on an upward trajectory with Demidov and Slavkovsky emerging as elite talents. If Pettersson wants to win and be idolized rather than criticized by a losing team, the Bell Center is the stage. He'd be the centerpiece of a team that's actually built to compete. He'd have elite wingers. He'd have organizational support. He'd have a city that would celebrate him as a hero if he performs. That's a powerful sales pitch. This is where Friday's reporting crystallized Kent Hughes' options into a clear hierarchy. The safe option, Philip Danault. Leadership, defensive stability, low cost, proven fit in Montreal. The young option, Dylan Cousins. Speed, potential medium cost, aligned with the championship window. The nuclear option, Elias Pettersson. Superstar talent, maximum salary cap hit, maximum risk, maximum potential reward. If Hughes wants to just make the playoffs and be competitive, he brings in Danault. If he wants to build a team that can compete with the entire Eastern Conference, if he wants to create a dynasty capable of winning Stanley Cups, he calls Vancouver and makes the Pettersson proposal. It's risky. It could blow up in his face. The contract could become an albatross. The player could struggle under pressure. The chemistry might not work. But championship banners aren't raised by teams that play it safe. They're raised by organizations willing to take calculated risks on proven talent. They're raised by general managers who see an opportunity and have the courage to act decisively. If Elias Pettersson waives his no-movement clause and agrees to come to Montreal, if the Canucks accept the package, if the salary cap works out, this could be the move that transforms the Canadiens from a team with potential into a team with a legitimate championship window. The question for Kent Hughes is simple. Does he have the courage to swing for the fences? Or does he play it safe and build incrementally? The answer to that question will define his legacy as Montreal's general manager. Should Kent Hughes go all in on the Pettersson gamble, despite the massive contract and risk? Or should he pursue the safer options like Danault or Cousins? Is this the kind of bold move that builds dynasties, or is it organizational recklessness? Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit that like button if you think Elias Pettersson in a Canadiens jersey could change everything for Montreal.